Here we are.
Hey everybody, I'm Susan Boyer. I write the Liz Talbot Mysteries and the Carolina Tales Mysteries.
And I'm Susan Beckham Zurenda, and I write Southern fiction, and I have a new novel coming out in August titled No Way Out But Through, and we will be discussing it at our August get-together.
You know, we need to stop right here and talk about that. Okay, first of all, Susie got ARCs. Oh, look at that. ARCs? That's
Nice
our
to
cover.
have.
Yeah. But secondly, we have gone back and forth on this a few times. Oh gosh, I've made something go wrong up here on this. There we go. We've gone back and forth on this a few times because Susie's book comes out August 18th. And so we were going to read it in September so everybody had plenty of time to read. But her travel schedule prevents us from getting together to discuss it. So we're going to switch back to where we had it and read her book in August. And if you don't have enough time to get it read before our conversation, that's the great thing about, we video these, and so you can always come back and watch our chat after you've had a chance to read.
That's right.
But we'll put it up the same way we always do towards the end of August. Okay, so we are swapping that in the schedule. Everybody, Marian will put up something in the group and change the graphics.
I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, so welcome to another visit with the two Southern Susans and the Lowcountry Book Club.
We are going to talk about Pamela Kelley's new book, Nantucket Second Chances, today.
But before we get started, our usual warning, there will be spoilers. Definitely there will be lots of spoilers. So if you have not read the book and, maybe you haven't had a chance to read yet, just go ahead and, go ahead and stop now, or at least before Pam gets here, and then come back and watch the video when you've had a chance to read.
That's right. Those of you who are seasoned followers here know this, but if you're a newcomer, yes, we definitely assume you've already read the book.
Meanwhile, Susan and I have just arrived at the Piedmont Club in beautiful Spartanburg, South Carolina, and we're trying to decide what we want to have for lunch.
It's harder than it sounds, because got these nice menus, and there was also like a couple of really yummy specials that sounded good.
And I'm already planning my dessert.
Absolutely, as one does. So while we decide and look at these menus, let's tell everybody a little bit about Pamela's book.
Okay, well, first of all, Pam is a friend, and she's a foodie from way back. So it probably won't surprise anyone who's ever read her that there's lots of yummy food in her book. But Nantucket Second Chances follows Claire Shipman, that's her main character, and Claire, her marriage just implodes, and her husband has this much younger girlfriend, and now Claire is expecting, and so is the younger girlfriend, and so she goes back to Nantucket, which is where she's from. And so what starts out as a story about divorce becomes a story about friendship and family and second chances, of course, like the title says, but it's so much more than just divorce recovery. Discovering who you are and how to re-find yourself when the life that you depended on disappears.
Right, which I think all of us have to do more than once.
Yes,
in our
exactly.
lifetimes. And one thing I like is that her protagonist Claire doesn't just find another romance and call it a day. There is more going on.
Absolutely. All right. We better order lunch before they throw us out of here.
That's right.
All right.
Plus we're hungry.
We'll see y'all shortly. We're back.
And lunch has arrived. I don't know if we can hold these up without spilling them.
Tell them what you have. Now, I have shrimp salad and fruit salad in it. Oh, y'all, this looks divine.
And I have chicken quesadilla with all these lovely avocado slices. Yum. So here we are.
One of the advantages of having lunch here, of doing our two Southern Susans here.
Is this delicious food?
Well, yeah, but also research.
Research, exactly.
Well, that's what we're calling it.
Absolutely. So
we're going to enjoy our lunch, and we'll be back in a little while with our dessert and Pam.
Yes.
The most decadent dessert special. It is going to be maple bacon pecan cheesecake, and that's served with vanilla ice cream and caramel sauce.
Oh, merciful heavens.
We first introduced it for the dessert table for Father's Day, and we all got a little taste, and it is, I think, quite possibly one of the best desserts we've had, at least in a very long time.
Oh, wow.
Very
I'll
good.
need to have that, please, and coffee.
All right.
All right, I'm going to look here.
I'm only going to have a bite or two.
Yes.
I will go ahead and get. Would you like some coffee also, Ms. Zurenda?
I want some very hot decaf coffee.
Hot decaf. You want regular?
Regular.
You
Yes,
got it.
me high test. Welcome back, everybody. We are back now with dessert, and this is a decadent cheesecake that actually has bacon and pecans on top.
Yes.
And of course, we have Pam with us. Welcome, Pam, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Right. Best part of the afternoon, dessert and author.
Yeah. Okay, so we're here to talk about Nantucket Second Chances, which is Pam's fabulous new book that we just finished, and many of you have.
Yes.
And we have
Wonderful.
questions from folks in the group and some that Susie and I thought of, and we're just going to chat. So I'm going to start off by asking the question I almost always ask at the beginning, and that is, where was the inspiration for this particular book?
So this particular book, actually, kind of interesting. So before I went full-time with writing, I was a headhunter, marketing recruiter for 25 years.
Wow.
And one of my colleagues, Chrissy, was just one of those people that, you know how some of your friends are just always so put together, like she could make a t-shirt and jeans look amazing. I don't have that skill.
How does that work?
I don't have that skill either.
It's not my skill.
I don't know. But she's just a little fashionista, always loved all things designer, whatever. So when she got married, she moved out to Arizona and she started a little side venture with fashion. And she opened up a little consignment shop selling some luxury stuff like Chanel, Hermes, Louboutin shoes, clothing, bags, shoes. And it took off. She was posting on Instagram. It's called To Be Continued. And so you can check her out. She's like this little energy dynamo. And she gets all excited about all the new stuff that she gets in. And I just, that was probably like 10 years ago that she started. I think she has 4 or 5 locations. And I've been fascinated by that. I'm not a fashionista.
This is all consignment. This is stuff that's come in.
All consignment. And what's one thing I learned that's so interesting about it is a lot of this stuff is worth more on the secondhand market than it was new. So if you're going to buy like a Kelley bag, you might pay double the price for some of these rare colors and sizes than if you were to buy it new at their Hermes store, if you can even get one. Or like she told me, I thought this was so interesting too. And it's such a marketing gimmick. You can't just walk into an Hermes store and buy a Birkin or buy a Kelley. You have to prove that you're worthy by building up a sales history. Like she said, she was buying shoes, she was buying linens. She's like, yeah, she goes, that bag that I paid $12,000 for, I actually spent close to $100,000 and all of these other purchases. Yeah, it's crazy.
Wait, okay, your friend did this.
Oh yeah, that's what she does. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah, she's a little jet setter, but she's funny. So I've just been fascinated by that. So I knew I was going to write this book, and I came up with the idea. I'm like, so I was also inspired by, I don't know if you've read the Belle Burden book. Ironically, that topic about a woman whose marriage, she's blindsided by divorce, financially and emotionally and everything. And I think that's resonating. It's a massive bestseller right now. So I think a lot of people can really relate to that. And I know several people that at that 15-year mark in their marriage, they were blindsided and things went in a very different direction. So I thought, okay, I'm going to play with both of these things. And so I came up with the idea of this woman, Claire. She's 39, lives in the Upper East Side. Husband has a job in finance, does well. She doesn't have a full-time job. She does some little writing gigs. She's there for their 16-year-old daughter. She's blindsided. The marriage wasn't perfect, but she was comfortable enough. She's like, this is fine. she discovers she's pregnant, and that same day her husband asks her for a divorce and confesses that he's been having an affair with a 20-something receptionist, and oh, by the way, she's pregnant too. And so I'm like, okay, add that into, she goes back, so she goes to Nantucket where she's from, and then also finds out that maybe there might be some financial issues that she was unaware of. So, she needs to think about getting some kind of an employment. And if you go to Nantucket in March, there's not a lot of places that are hiring, and there's not a whole lot of options really beyond hospitality. It's not like a big city where there's a million things. So it's just an offhand joke at a book club where someone says, how's the job search going? And she's just like, oh, I might have to start selling off my bags and shoes. And she's joking, but somebody there is like, well, if you're serious, I like that bag you have. And she's like, oh, and then starts to think about it. Maybe I could do something with this. So that's kind of how it all came together, and had a lot of fun with it.
It's a great concept. And I have to say, I think this is my favorite book of yours so far. I don't know. There was just, I really enjoyed it. Yeah. Okay.
It clicks.
It's your turn.
Okay. So we were talking about Claire, your protagonist. And so Claire's mother, her grandmother, Rachel, the book club friends, all these people are very supportive. But in the end, of course, she saves herself. So when you're thinking about starting that business, I mean, was her saving herself always sort of central to the story you wanted to tell? Or
I think so. And I think it's that theme of having, family and friends kind of lift you up and support you when you're going through a difficult time like that.
Yes.
Well, she definitely had a good support system, Claire.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying, I read so many books, and I read this book. I finished it a few days ago, and then in the meantime, I have read another book, Dolly, all the time, and so I have those characters in my head too. So I'm like, I'm almost I'm crossing the characters. Yeah. Okay.
I have that one on my Kindle too. I'm dying to read that one.
You haven't read it yet?
It's on my Kindle. It's up next.
Yeah. Oh, I loved it. I finished it. I stayed up last night.
Oh, wait, I just missed that. What was
Dolly all the time? I was telling you about it earlier. Yes, I stayed up last night until after 1 to finish that book because I was almost done. And I never stay up late anymore to finish a book. I haven't done that in years because, I need my beauty sleep. But anyway.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right. Now, I was going to ask about where the idea came from for the consignment shop, but we know that now. So you go to your next one, Susan.
So, okay. Pam, we need to talk about Ellis. Our readers had opinions about Ellis, lots of opinions.
Okay.
Okay. So what was the inspiration for Ellis? Have you ever known anybody that was this low, or did you just make up this guy who has apparently no ethics? I mean, and how did he act like a normal guy for all those years? Can you tell he's a real person in my head? And then, I mean, he seemed to be a great guy, and then all of a sudden he's this underbellied snake. I mean, what?
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a lot of Ellises out there.
Create a good villain. That's enormous.
Yeah, he's actually, unfortunately, I know at least one Ellis.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's actually modeled after someone in the family who everybody thought they had the most perfect marriage, and it turned out he had a very, very double life.
That's awful. Wow. I'm so sorry to do that.
Yeah.
I was really hoping he was a figment of your imagination.
Yeah.
Well, he is like, there's, like
the situation.
Like in my book, The Nantucket Restaurant, there's a similar kind of a storyline. And he does some bad things, and there's like bits and pieces that I pull for these characters. So I think it's just kind of, there's people that are like that, unfortunately,
Yes, there are. Exactly. And you were going to talk about the quote from Laura Vasquez, which is even.
I'm sorry, did I
it
miss
makes
something?
Ellis even a dirtier dealer with the, when he's lied to her about the
I
assets.
missed something in my script. Hang on.
Yeah, it gets tricky when you're dealing with finances.
Yeah.
know?
So Laura Vasquez said, she sent us the quote that she said floored her when he admitted that he hid assets because he earned the money and didn't want to give up half. And her question was, were you intentionally trying to create someone that's self-centered, or did you see him as a man who had convinced himself he was being reasonable?
He doesn't think that he's a bad guy. He thinks that he's just, and I this is a very common thing that a lot of dynamic that you see in divorces when a woman has stayed home and the man has been the breadwinner, and they don't always recognize the value in the woman staying home and what they had to give up so that they could shine.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, and so I guess that segues into another question from one of our viewers. Pat Dupuy wondered whether Ellis ever felt genuine remorse at all, or whether he was only ever sorry about the consequences. I mean, do you?
I think a little bit of both.
Yeah,
I think a little bit of both. I think he's mostly sorry that he didn't get away with it.
Yeah.
That was my impression.
Yeah.
I have no.
Yeah, that was my impression too. But she wanted to know was he a man?
Right.
This is probably someone wanting to see the glass half full, and who can blame her? A man who's capable of regret. But then she says, or was he too self-justified for that? And I go with the second.
Yeah. So my favorite part, one of my very favorite parts, was the audit. I loved watching Ellis squirm. That was a lot of fun. Now, is that basically a figment of your imagination, or do you know somebody who's been through that kind of thing? Or
I do. Yeah, that came from actually multiple scenarios where very similar scenarios, actually. I know somebody that when they got divorced, she was a stay-at-home mom. He actually was one of the main managers in a sales organization. So he was making millions, and he actually convinced, when he was going through divorce, he got very shady and he hid things, but he also convinced the people that ran the company to change his salary and pay him differently. So on paper, it only looked like he was making like 70 something. And he was able to somehow hide the other money. But people get very tricky. And so she was told by an attorney that she should do a forensic audit, and that would uncover like hidden bank accounts.
Wow.
It's actually pretty common, especially if you're dealing with somebody that's high up in a company and makes significant money where they could stash it here and there. A lot of times they'll stash it in real estate, and they'll hide it behind trusts and things like that.
I'm just glad to know that I didn't even know. I mean, there is such thing as a forensic audit. Of course, I know a woman whose former husband, this was years ago, he sold his business and acted like he went bankrupt so he wouldn't have to give her anything. Isn't that awful?
Exactly. That's like what that guy did, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's awful.
It is awful. So, okay, well, now we'll talk about a nicer man. We'll talk about Cody.
I really did like Cody.
Yes. So, and the readers in this group seem to have fallen for him immediately.
Well, yeah. I mean, how can you not love Cody?
That's right.
Okay, so he's sort of the anti-Ellis. That's kind of the way I see him. So I'm curious, though. It's interesting to parallel. It's like both of these characters, Claire met them through these incidents in the coffee shop. And so it's like there's that coffee shop parallel, and yet it's different because in the first one, it feels like, I don't know. Talk about that, how those are similar and yet different.
So they kind of mirror each other in a way. So the situation when she met Ellis, he was the one that knocked her over, if I recall. And then when she met Cody, it was the opposite. But also, kind of the way they reacted was differently too. And I just thought I kind of liked the idea of having it be similar but very different.
Yeah, that was a nice
Yeah,
touch.
yeah, it really is. And so, I mean, obviously, writing Cody has to lift your heart more than writing Ellis, of course. I mean, it's, I got a book coming out where I've got a character, and he just really has no redeeming features at all. So, but
Like Alice.
yeah, yeah. In writing Cody, what did you love the most about creating his character?
I think what I liked about Cody is I'm my favorite trope is that friends to lovers. I like it when they build, because she's not looking for romance, given what happened. She needs a friend more than anything else. And so they have that strong foundation. And he's not anxiously looking for romance either. It just kind of they just find it eventually. So that was fun to play with. I like showing the friendship and then the slow development to something more.
Right, right. Well,
He's a keeper.
That's a good way to put it.
It's a little bit of wish fulfillment too.
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't it be nice to rent a shop and have your landlord be this hot guy that's single?
Yeah, sounds like a dream come true to me.
I am all about wish fulfillment. I mean, I think that's like a really good reason to write, so that you can do that. So
Yeah.
I think that's healthy.
That's right.
Okay, so Nantucket always feels like more than a setting in your books. How do you keep returning to the island and still make every story feel fresh? And also, do you get to spend a lot of time in Nantucket when you're writing?
So I do. So I grew up on the Cape, which is, they call it the Cape and Island. So you've got Cape Cod, then you've got Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard. One of my best friends from childhood moved to Nantucket just about 30 years ago when she got married. So I've been going there, at least a couple times a year to visit. And, when I thought about writing the Nantucket Inn, that was the first bigger book that I wrote, the first kind of like family drama. And I thought about it. I'm like, okay, do I set it on the Cape or do I set it on Nantucket? And I chose Nantucket because the Cape is home and it's familiar, but the Nantucket is, I'm still learning about it. And it's kind of this aspirational, dreamy, amplified Cape Cod, basically.
Right. And so that answers it, because you are always discovering on Nantucket. It is always fresh. And so the discoveries come, they come in your book.
Like a couple of books in, I don't know which one it was, but I'd gone for a visit. And so my friend Carrie's husband, Andrew, is a chef. So a lot of times when I go there to visit, we don't go out to eat because Andrew is just such a good cook. So we'll hang in and cook. But a lot of times we do. But they don't like to go to crazy fancy places. They prefer to go to like the local places that aren't crowded, that just have really good food. And so they took me to one of their favorite places, which is this place called Millie's. And now I'm obsessed with Millie's because it's like California style Mexican, and I could eat Mexican every single day. So several of my books talk about how they went to Millie's and they had the scallop and bacon tacos, and it's good.
And you know what's really cool is that you can eat there over and over and over again for research.
Exactly. So I was just there for the Nantucket Book Festival, and now conveniently, I stayed with my friend Carrie. Well, I didn't stay this time. I stayed downtown because I was walking to all these places. But then I visited her while I was there, and we stopped and we had lunch. Millie's opened up an additional location right by where she lives.
Oh gosh,
how convenient is that?
Yeah, very convenient.
Yes. Oh my. Okay, well, we're going to go back to characters for just a minute, because one thing your longtime readers enjoy is seeing these familiar faces that show up from your earlier books. So another in our group here, Pat Tarter, mentioned that she loves seeing characters from your other novels appear here. So she wants to know, how do you decide who gets to come back onto the page? Like you get to come back on Jeopardy, you know?
Yeah, so it kind of just depends on what the story is that I'm telling and also what I've recently focused on. So last year, my book was the restaurant, and then it was re-released as the Nantucket restaurant, and I made it a little bit longer. And so that has three sisters. So those were still in my mind because that's the book I just most recently been spending time with. And so it just fit that when she goes here and, part of her acclimating back into the community in Nantucket is Rachel invites her to come to the book club. And so I thought, oh, would it be fun if the two sisters that live on Nantucket are in the book club? So, and it's so brief, but that way you get like a little kind of update on them. And I know readers have told me that they like that. Those little brief appearances, but they're fun. They're fun to write, and I think they're fun to read.
Yeah. And I think I don't know, it just reinforces the, this is a real world, and while you're focused on this story, your other characters who are real people are over here doing their own thing.
That's
or whatever.
right.
So
They're still alive.
Yeah, it reinforces that, this is real. These are all these little stories going on. So that's very cool. Okay, when you sit down to write, craft question now. Are you a detailed outliner, a discovery writer, or somewhere in between?
So I'm mostly a discovery writer, but I don't go in totally blind. So like on this recent book that I just wrote, I knew some of the basics. Like I knew the concept. I knew that the store was going to be there. I knew the situation that was going to happen and who the people were. So I know the people, the main people, and I know the main situations and what they might have to, kind of do. And then the rest of it is just kind of like feeling it as I go along.
Yeah.
Interesting. I think I would, I don't know. I might have to be.
Are you a plotter? Do you plot out detailed?
I'm such a plotter. I mean, it's all in a spreadsheet.
Wow.
Before I start.
Well, you're a mystery writer too.
Yeah, and that's part of it. But
is.
The other part is I'm bad to go off on tangents. If I don't have an outline, I'll go way off on tangents. And
I kind of outline as I go along, though. So I think when I explain to some people, they're like, "How can you do that?" I'm like, "Well, so Susan does her outlining ahead of time. I can't do that. I'm very aware of how the story has to be put together. So I kind of keep a running outline as I go. So I kind of have a little bit of a map of where I've been, and then a little." I'll always know the next scene or two, kind of where I'm going, and some things maybe down the road that need to happen.
I think I must do something sort of similar to that because I'll have ideas of where I'm going, but I'll write it and I'll think, ooh, I got to go outline this now so that I won't forget where when I go next, that it'll connect back to what I've just written. So I think I must do that. Outline as I go.
I'm always making myself notes too.
Yeah,
like I'll be writing this and I'll think of something and I'm like over here making notes.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
How long? I'm curious. How long are your outlines?
So I have usually one line I do it in a spreadsheet, and I have one line for every chapter in the book. So I start at the end. I know who did what to who and why, how it's going to end, and then I go back and figure out how my detective is going to work that out. And it's like one line per plot point. So I know the plot point is going to be delivered in every chapter. And then the rest of it is just, I write it organically as I'm going. But I have to have that sort of scaffold, I guess, to start with.
So the reason I ask is so a lot of us that do not outline feel pressure, like we really maybe should try to outline. So the one time that I did, my outline ended up being 19,000 words.
Oh my stars. I don't even know in words how long mine are. It's usually if I'm writing, say, a 50 chapter book, it's 50 lines in a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Because I still had to feel my way through to make the outline. And by the time I finished it, I'm like, I don't want to write this book now. I feel like I'm done.
Well, with my debut novel, I knew how it was going to begin and end, but I didn't know the 85% in between. And I was a teacher, so, in that sense, I was a planner. So I thought, okay, I've got to outline every chapter. And I had a whole legal pad full of outline. And then I got to about the third chapter in the book, and I just never looked at the outline again. And that's what taught me, oh, no, the outlining is not exactly was going to
That
work for
wasn't
me.
for you.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, everybody's different.
I know.
Everybody has their own process.
I mean, isn't that something? It's just how our brains.
Yeah.
do
I
it.
forgot to tell you, Susie is a retired English teacher. So she always gives the English teacher perspective on things. I should have warned you about that. But we skipped over something because we are just not good about going by our own things. We write these up and then we can't follow them. But
because we get off on tangents.
I know, exactly. So we skipped over something about the characters.
Yes, I wondered about that.
Have you got that?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Okay. I had asked about Pat Tartar's comment. So then your next one was about, and it's kind of like what we've already been talking about. Do you ever find yourself missing a character and bringing them back, because you miss that character?
Do you have a favorite character from all of your books? Do you have a favorite character?
I kind of do that in the Nantucket series started with the Nantucket Inn. So when I go to write one of those books, I'll look back, I'll be like, okay, who haven't I given attention to? Because I kind of have like a small cast of people that pop up in a lot of the books, like Lisa, who owns the inn. She's in every book, and she's kind of like a framing. She opens the book, and usually there's a character that comes to the inn, and then that person becomes part of the community. And so, as I start one of those books, I'll be like, okay, who haven't we checked in with lately? And I'll do, Lisa will have a story. Sometimes it's bigger, sometimes it's smaller. And then whoever visits her usually has a story. And then usually one or two other characters have a story that kind of runs through.
So I'm just curious here. How many characters are in your returning character list for Nantucket, for those novels?
So I don't bring everybody into every book because that would be overwhelming. So that's why I pick and choose. So usually I'm going to focus on 3 to 4 characters, and then maybe a couple of others might also be background, like if there's like a dinner scene or something.
But how many characters populate that town? How many of your fictional characters populate that town? The ones that don't appear in any given book, but they're just, in the framework or whatever.
There's not that many characters that are in the framework. There's like maybe a couple. But I think altogether, maybe somewhere between 15 to 20 characters.
This is my problem. I have way too many characters. I feel like I have to populate the whole town. I'm sorry. I digress.
None of mine follow. None of my novels have anything to do with the other one. Maybe that's a good thing. I don't know.
It could
I don't know. Okay, so we were going to talk a little bit. You've asked one question about the writing life, but there was the other one, with all the heavy material in the book: betrayal, pregnancy, losing everything you've got, and yet the book is uplifting, right? It's warm. It's hopeful.
How do you do that?
Yeah. How do you walk that line without tipping into the dark?
Yeah. How do you keep it an upbeat book?
I don't know. I think it's just like, even if I try to make a book darker, my tone is just going to be lighter. Like the very first book I wrote, Trust, I read a lot of suspense, a lot of dark mysteries, and as well as romance and women's fiction. And that book, when I wrote that book, I was reading a lot of Dennis Lehane, and his books are really dark and they're moody and they're atmospheric. And I was like channeling him. I just read Mystic River, which is like one of the best books I've read. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to write something like that. And then I wrote it and I just laughed. I'm like, I'm channeling Dennis Lehane. What came out was like light and fluffy. And I've started another book that's featuring a serial killer that I haven't finished. And I've said to a friend of mine, I'm like, I don't know if there's a market for a feel-good serial killer book.
That will be different.
Although there's this guy in Florida who did that. It was a very successful series. My husband used to read these. Surge Storms. He's a serial killer, but he only basically killed people who needed killing.
There's the caveat.
He was sort of a philosopher, kind of
like a Dexter, kind of.
Yeah, it was. Tim Dorsey, I think.
I remember that
think he
name.
has
I know
since
who that
passed
is.
away.
Florida writer.
Yeah, Florida writer. Yeah, those were very interesting, according to Jim. I think I read one, and I did enjoy it. But
Well, Robin Hood doing the wrong thing for the right reason.
yeah, maybe so. Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
All right.
Well, a little serendipity.
Yes.
For our group. So our or coincidences or whatever you want to call it. So last month we interviewed Christy Harvey's with her Summer State of Mind, and it's just a comment. And Christy has given your book a lovely blurb, and we just thought that was great.
Yeah, she's awesome.
She is. She's a sweet girl. She's a sweet woman. I say sweet girl because she's younger than me.
She's younger than my daughter. She's younger than my daughter.
She's a very, very nice young woman. Okay.
Exactly.
And
so what happens after the
okay, yes. I got my spot. All right. We had several questions from Diana McGoldrick, and they all boiled down to this one thing. The readers were not ready to leave these characters. So let's just do a quick wrap up. Let's start with Lily. By the end of the book, she has a baby brother. Do you think she eventually builds a relationship with him while still keeping Ellis at a distance? Or is she going to, what? We want you to give us some spoilers and tell us these characters are all happy and everything worked out for everybody.
Or not.
Not really spoilers, but what do you mean or not? We want the characters to be happy.
We do, but yeah.
They're happy, but I don't think that Claire is going to be inviting Ellis over for dinner anytime soon.
That's a good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good response. Yeah. Keeping him in build a distance. So, and Diana also wondered about Lily and Teddy and where do you see them headed in the future? Music careers or what?
So I actually, maybe this is just the hopeless romantic in me. I see them staying together, and that's inspired by, so I have twin nieces and they couldn't be more different. They're 28 now. One of them is living her single life in New York City. The other one has been married for a couple of years to the boy that she met when they were both 15. They were together for 11 years and they got married at age 26. And they are just ridiculously adorable. And so I could see that maybe with Lily and Teddy.
Okay, Diana will be very happy.
Yes.
She did have one more question about the characters and their what happened. She wants to know if you think that Claire and Cody will consider having a child together if they can, if that works out, or are they content with the family they've already built?
That's a good question. I don't know. I think there's a good chance that she might have one more. I have friends that still had, well, she was quite horrified, but I have a friend that found herself pregnant at age 44. And that was very different than 7 years prior when she had her other child. But once she got over the shock of it, she's just like, yeah, it's the best thing that ever happened. So I think it's possible.
Wow. 44.
Yeah. All right. We're ready to talk about the food.
Yeah, rapid fire fun.
Rapid fire food fun.
Okay. Because this is a Pamela Kelley book, and there's always what scene when you're writing it made you the hungriest?
Yeah, probably early on when she was making the scallops. I think she was making them in the air fryer at home. I went through a phase where I was doing that on repeat. It's so ridiculously easy because I'm fortunate too because I can get really good ones locally here, and it's so easy. I just put them in a dish. I put a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of hot sauce. I literally just dump some crumbs on, stir it up, throw it in the air fryer for 7 minutes, serve it with a delicious garlic mayo, and it's so good.
It sounds delicious.
Yum.
We're gonna have to try that.
It also works really well with salmon and shrimp.
Ooh, I'm glad to know that. Okay.
A little
olive oil, a little hot sauce, and what's the third thing? Breadcrumbs.
Yes, maybe a drizzle of hot honey if you think of it too.
Okay. Yum.
If you do it with salmon, there's Trader Joe's has a salmon rub that's like, I think it's got brown sugar and other spices in it. shake a little bit of that on the salmon when you put that in, and that is so good too.
Hmm.
That sounds good.
I love salmon. Oh, I love scallops too. Okay. What is your favorite thing to eat on Nantucket?
Honestly, it's Millie's. So when I went there with Carrie last, they didn't have the scallops and bacon one. So we had shrimp tacos and the street corn. And I told her the taco was delicious, but I could have just had a bowl of the Mexican street corn and have been happy with that for dinner. It was so good.
Oh, wow.
I love Mexican street food.
Yeah.
Okay.
One last sort of fun sort of question. If you could spend one day, a perfect day on Nantucket, what would it look like?
So, what I usually do when I go to visit my friend Carrie, she picks me up at the boat, and then we go throw my bags in her car, and then we go walking all around downtown Nantucket. It's all cobblestone streets. We stop in some of the stores. We might stop and have a coffee somewhere. We might have lunch. We might take a drive and just take a nice walk. There's like a when she used to have a dog, she lost recently, but when she had her dog, she would always take the dog on this walking trail that was like beautiful, kind of like I don't know what they call it, conservation space, like donated to the town with breathtaking views of the water. It's so pretty. And then we'd go back to the house, and Andrea would cook us an amazing dinner, and we'd sit around and we'd play cards and maybe watch a little TV. It's a perfect night.
That sounds perfect. What kind of cards do you play?
So we usually play the game Pitch. And the funny thing is, we've been playing that for over 30 years. And we were laughing about it the last time I was over because the two of them, they're like literally a little old married couple now. Their daughter's, gone. It's just the two of them. They used to bicker so much when they would play cards. And I'd be like the referee. I'm like, you guys, let's just play another game.
That sounds like a really fun day.
Yes.
Okay.
I want to go to Nantucket one day.
Well, you should.
I should.
Maybe
So
you
one
can-
thing you should do if you go, we just had the conversation with somebody. You could even just do a day trip. Go there and you just walk all around the town. Go to the Whaling Museum. I mentioned that in a few of my books, but it is first time I went, I'm like, oh, a whaling museum. How interesting is that going to be? It was fascinating. And we ended up being there for like 3 hours, just walking all around. Yeah. Because the history, well, they say 500 years from now, they say that Nantucket will be underwater, supposedly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, crazy. But there's a lot of history with sea captains and it's interesting.
I'm going to go.
I think you should.
I should go.
Okay, now for the question of the day. What's next?
So what's next is I'm working on next summer's book called Nantucket Family.
Ooh.
And this one is it's another mother and a daughter situation. But this time they don't they don't get along super well. So that could be kind of fun. Not that they don't get along, they're just very different people. So the mother is kind of a cross between Elizabeth Taylor and Ina Garten. So she's this stunningly beautiful celebrity TV cook that has her own show from her studio on Nantucket. And she's like a legend. And like men are just drawn to her. So her daughter, always kind of liked baking, but always kind of felt like she was in the shadow of her mother. She's perfectly attractive, but in just a more average, way, not like everybody stops and stares. So she went the opposite direction, and she works in investment banking. And she's doing that. And I actually just did a little bit of research for that. That was so fun because a good friend of mine, his daughter, Kate, works for Goldman Sachs. And she's just like, doing so amazingly well. And so I chatted with her and she told me like all about her job, which I think sounds so fun. But I'm going to have this character, she's good with numbers, but she's up for a promotion that she doesn't get. And that causes her to kind of be like, is this really what I want to do? And so she ends up going back to Nantucket to kind of figure out her next step. And then she makes like these lavender biscuits, just fooling around. and there's a meeting where the network people are there with their mom, and they eat the biscuits, and they're like, assume that the mom made them, and she's like, oh no, she made them. And then they're trying to think of, because her ratings are down a little bit, and they're like, well, how can we get the ratings up? And then they're like, maybe we should have a mother-daughter show. And so at first she's like, she wants no part of that, but her aunt talks her into it. And so that was a lot of fun to play with.
Okay.
So that's what
Wonderful.
It
Yes.
sounds like fun.
Absolutely.
All right. Well,
thank you so much for
thank
being with us
this was
today.
a lot.
I want a new recipe to try. Recipes.
Yeah, me too. And basically, lately, I haven't cooked anything. I'm like trying to finish a book, so I'm like eating, I'm scavenging for food, but you know how that goes. But okay,
All right. Just
I think we've covered everything. Do you have anything you would like to add? Is there anything else that we need to know that we didn't ask?
I don't think so. I think that covers it pretty well.
Okay.
I appreciate. Thanks for having me here.
we
our
had
pleasure.
fun. We had a lot of fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to figure out a way next time to go to Nantucket to interview her, and that way we can.
I'm there.
Yeah,
I'm there. I'm ready. I'm ready.
That sounds good. I'll meet you there.
All right.
In the meantime, we'll see our group together again
Yes.
next month with two Southern Susans.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Thank you, Pamela.
Okay, so that's it for this month.
Yeah.
And thank you so much, everyone, for being a part of the Lowcountry Book Club and for hanging out with us online and for joining us for these chats. And we love spending time in Nantucket.
Yes.
And we'd love to see you all next time for another visit with the two Southern Susans.
Looking forward to it.
Bye.
Bye.